Hey folks, welcome to the first module of the course. I'm going to walk you through with a little tutorial on the exercise 1A. First, you want to launch Photoshop, as I've done, and you're going to create a new document, File, New. And when your new document window opens up, you're going to do allow the fields to default, but be sure the image is, the color mode is on RGB. Some of you may have defaulted to CMYK. If you don't already know what that is, it's red, green, blue, or cyan, magenta, yellow, black. Okay, and then what you want to do is make sure that the resolution is at 72, which is screen resolution, minimum screen resolution required. You really don't want to go above that if you're working in a digital fashion. If you are working in high resolution print fashion, for example, if you're going to print a public on a large scale, it says you really want to have inch or dot large resolution. Things about Photoshop you'll want to understand, which most of you already do, is it is pixel based, and we can work with smart objects, which are vector based. We can bring them into Photoshop, but we're really in the end, if you're going to output anything, you want to have things that are compatible and make sure that they're high resolution. Vector based can be scalable and doesn't lose quality, whereas pixel based images lose quality. So back to the new document window, you want to make sure that you've got your 72 DPI or PPI, kind of interchangeable there. And then bring the artboard into close view after you create this. We'll deal with those other things later, but you find it's a little bit small. So we're going to bring that into close view. You can do that by hitting Control 0 or Command 0 on the Mac, or even Control plus and minus, plus and minus. That's another really quick and fun way that I like to work that allows it to go fairly smoothly into view when I'm working on high volume stuff, and then you want to zoom in, zoom out, kind of like an artist might do if they're painting. You back up, you go forward, that kind of stuff. So if you bring the artboard into close view and then you reset your workspace, switcher is up here. We have many different things that support different types of view. If I reset essentials, mine was already defaulted to that, but let's say I want to work with specific panels. I can group my panels by hovering and grouping the panels together. You can kind of see how that happens. That blue line occurs, and then my other panel kind of fades and becomes transparent. I let go, and I can move, I can move these around like so. If I want to dock them back, I can just hover over the line. I hover, and then I start to lose real estate. So then you want to kind of collapse some of these if you wish. And then if you don't want them there all together, you would pull them out and close them. It's up to the way you want to work, but the best thing about the Workspace Switcher is that, of course, we always want to have layers. Paths are really important, and swatches. Those are things. Colors also. There's so many layers that are important, but if you work on some basic stuff here, these might be layers, paths, swatches. I'm going to shrink these. Into icons. So you can play around with the way that you want them to look, whether they're smart, really small icons to take up less space, which I do like that a lot, or whatever. You can move those inward to give you even more space. Now you're probably going to want the properties panel and the adjustment panel attached to that. All you do is go up to Window, Adjustments. I love to have my adjustments grouped here, and then my properties panel. Properties allows me to just kind of see what's going on with my artboard. Okay, so these are important, and let's say I wanted to open up my document every single time and see everything looking like this. Then you would go up here and you would do a new workspace, and I would just add Christy's workspace, and then I would do, you know, the menus. And then the toolbar, you can also view it a little bit differently, double column. You can move it so it's running across the top. I like mine like this. So I'm going to keep the toolbar and the menus like this. Of course, you can customize your own keyboard shortcuts and you can add them and then save. So every time I open up Photoshop, I can go right to Christy's workspace. If I mess up the workspace, I can go back to reset Christy's workspace. But you know what? I don't want you to do that for this exercise, but I want you to know it's a possibility to do that in the future. I want you to reset your workspace to essentials. So go ahead and do essentials. And then I can reset essentials and it goes back to the way it was in the beginning, which is great. All right, and you know you got your layers down here and everything. All right, the next thing you want to do is place the exercise 1A image into the blank document by using File, Place Link. So File, we're going to do Place Linked. Place Embedded means that it will embed the image. We're going to want to link to that image right now. All right, and that image is here. Go ahead and place. And you notice the bounding box kind of surrounds it, and then you notice it goes on its own layer above the background layer. Okay? All right, and then we can also place images from Adobe Bridge if you prefer to be in control and detailed about your image file media management, which would be File, and you would go Close and Browse Bridge. We can do that later because I don't want to close this document yet. But if you prefer to do that, I can show you how that's done. You go to File, New, and then we browse from Bridge. A whole new management system pops up and allows you to group, file, and search by keyword. It's just a great tool, and I will review that a little bit more in detail. Okay, so we want to make sure that our layers are showing which they are. And you want to go to, if you don't see it in your Essentials workspace, you want to go to Window, Layers. You can get any of your panels here under Window, okay? So if something's not showing, you can, or if you inadvertently close it, you can always go back up to Window and find it here and bring it back. Okay. Now we want to note that the layers panel showing has the image on it, and then you'll notice that there's a lock here on the background panel. We want to make sure that we click on this lock just to have it unlocked as a layer. You can always like hide it. I like to work that way. Usually there's many times that you open with an image instead of creating a new document like we did. And if you open with an image, your image will actually be the background layer. And you'll want to unlock that, or you want to lock it and turn the eyeball off. And then you can create a new layer and you can destruct that layer and not worry about the actual background image. If you need to go back to it, you always have it there, but it's not showing. That's a great way to work, just to kind of be careful so you're not ruining the original image. Okay, so you'll notice there's this little link here, and this little link is a smart object thumbnail. It's telling me that this is a smart object. Well, we really don't need that to be a smart object because we want it to be pixel based. The quality is pretty poor because we're working really low resolution. And so what we want to do here is making sure that we rasterize this image to flatten it or make it into a pixel-based environment and ready for manipulation and editing. You can edit it as a smart object as well, but it's just if you want to have it as a pixel object, you're going to want to rasterize it. So you can just hover over here and click on this image, and then you're going to want to make sure that's active, right? And then you're going to go up to Layer, Rasterize, Smart Object. And you'll notice that little chain link goes away. So now it's actually readily available to be edited and manipulated. Okay. Now I want you to review the tools in the toolbar. Under tools, showing the small arrow in the lower right-hand side of many of these tools, just note that there's some that don't have it, but then there's some that do. Every single one of them, if you hover over the tool, will actually pop up a little example of what that tool does. This is new as of the last few years in Photoshop Creative Cloud. It's pretty awesome. Some of you might be working from an older version, which is fine. It'll still tell you what that tool is. But that lower right-hand corner arrow, if you click and hold, it actually shows you hidden tools. These hidden tools are tools that are related and they're kind of grouped together. And so you can always find a tool that you don't see right here under a hidden tool. And if you want to tear it off, this little tiny dot means it's a tear off. I think so. What used to be. Or maybe it's just close. But anyway, you used to be able to like just tear it off and tear off this panel as its own panel. But looks like you're not able to do that here. So in the Move tool, this is basically our selection tool, quote unquote. In other Adobe programs, we refer to that main tool up top is that selection tool. But this is our Move tool. It moves images around the layer, and it allows us to manipulate that way. Okay, and here we've got the rectangular marquee that sort of does a rectangular selection. Of course, we've got other ways we can select images in the hidden tools. The lasso tool, I love the lasso tool. It allows us to sort of call out something from the image. So if I hover over again, see, it's allowing us to select and call out certain areas of that image, which is fantastic. We're going to be working on that in the next couple weeks. We've got the magnetic lasso tool. That is terrific. That will actually magnetize your selection to whatever image so that you can be more accurate in calling out objects in your image. And then here we've got the quick selection tools that will separate whatever you're selecting from the background. You go down and you can see all of those. If you get to the ellipses, the 3 dots down here, you click and hold, you can edit the toolbar. You can add by moving these over here. If you want these tools to be available, there's so many additional tools that there's some tools that they don't show in the hidden tools. So if you don't see a tool that you need, just go and add it. And then what I want you to do, let's see, is go ahead and flatten your file. This is a very simple exercise. Your flatten file is, and this is the control, the layers option panel. Go ahead and flatten it by clicking and going to flatten image. Discard hidden layers. Now you've got your background and it's locked. Go ahead and save this image as last name underscore EX1A and upload it to the submission link, and you're done with exercise 1A. I'll see you in the next video.